What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Six Gaming Podcast. Filling in for your host, as always, it's Ronkly.
As
Shosan
always.
is, I don't know, he's probably doing something dangerous and elite. I don't know.
He's dangerous.
Yes, he's dangerous.
Let's get dangerous.
Yes, and with me, I have the awesome and illustrious
Darkwing Duck. Thank you. I
How's it going?
appreciate it. It is going pretty well.
When you're in trouble, you
call Darkwing Duck.
No, call. Oh my God!
It's been a really long time.
When you're in trouble, you call DW.
Right.
Oh man,
it's been a really long time.
That hurts.
I know.
But anyway, regardless, if you ignore that part of it, we have an amazing show for you guys today. And it's going to start off with the first half of the show, which of course is Shosan's favorite half of this show. Who knows where he is? He's missing it. It's news, or however he does it.
Good news, everyone.
Yes.
And you got a lot of it because we skipped last week.
Yeah, we kind of skipped. Well, actually, we don't because I think we had 2 stories posted between the week before
that's true
and last week. So it's kind of
this was a slow week. Last week was a normal week. So
yes, and apparently we have something to do with this would probably be more of a story for Shosan to present because he's all into the security stuff. What's this about Flight Sim Labs?
So basically there's this Flight Sim Lab. Okay, so sorry, I opened up the video. I forgot that it wasn't news. So there's this company called Flight Sim Labs, and they make basically pay for DLC for they basically paid for mods, right? Like you can buy certain planes that they've designed for Flight Sim games, different ones. And there was some kind of malware in one of them, and somebody found it on Reddit or whatever, and they posted, "Hey, I don't recommend you get this particular one because it's got malware in it, or it appears to have malware in it." And the developer was like, "No, we don't." And they're like, "Yeah, like explain this then." They're like, "Nope, don't. It's not us." And basically Reddit was like, "Yeah, it clearly is. Screw you guys." So then I think it seems like they took it out, and they're like, "Well, if there was nothing there, what did you take out?" They're like, Then it kind of got into that. The mods on Reddit started getting emails from like the company's lawyer, like, this is libel. There's no evidence that there's any kind of malware stuff, and you have to start deleting these threads. You need to moderate these threads because you're letting your users spread libel, and we will sue you because your users are spreading libel. And I don't think it's like fully resolved yet, but basically it's not going to go anywhere. Obviously, you can't have a court case and be like, it's libel, and the defendants would be like, here's the proof that there was malware, and then they'll be like, all right, well, not libel, then see you guys later.
Yep. So it's $100 DLC, and it comes with password stealing malware, according to Hard OCP.
And they're making some kind of excuse at some point about like, it's not malware, like we have to be able to monitor certain things to like make this work. And it was just, maybe it wasn't malicious, but they handled it very, very poorly.
Well, apparently the file test.exe, which contained this malware, got renamed to cmdhost.exe, and it's extremely shady. Very, very shady. So we'll see how this comes down. This was something that came up late in the previous week, and there hasn't really been.
Yeah. And by the way, TikTok votes $100 DLC that includes like one airplane, I believe.
Yep, one model. That's kind of like the one game that Veg Simulator iRacing.
Oh,
where you have to pay for every track, every car. You get some free ones, but their DLC is pretty damn expensive. So anyway,
moving on.
Of course, Valve has been recently in the news for their killing of Steam Spy. Supposedly, it was a part of GDPR compliance, but they never came out and really confirmed that. And one of the side effects of what they did was essentially killed the website Steam Spy. And now Valve is saying that they're planning on actually creating their own version that's going to be better than Steam Spy.
I mean, they have all the data, so they could Steam Spy basically scraped the data and got an unclear, like an unwhole picture, right?
You know, it's funny that you say that they have all the data.
All the datas.
Because there was another article that Ars Technica came out with, and apparently somebody figured out that through the API, if you were able to get global statistics for achievements, they were not rounded. So you would see that a particular achievement would be earned by, say, 0.0127822207 blah 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 % of players playing the game. And you can work out the math to be 8 out of 62,587, an exact count of the number of people that are playing the game. Before Valve plugged this hole, which was pretty freaking fast, it was within 24 hours of it being found, somebody decided, we're going to go ahead and publish a CSV file for over 13,000 games on Steam that have achievements. And all it is the number of people playing the game. And there's some pretty interesting numbers in here.
It's not the number of people playing the game; it's the number of people who own the game, right?
Yeah,
own
the game's probably better. Team Fortress 2 over 50 million. PUBG 36 million. Some really big ones. I actually went straight to the 6 Degree of Freedom games.
Of course,
I was very surprised to find the number one selling 6 Degree of Freedom game. Well, maybe not selling, but most owned 6 Degree of Freedom game that has achievements on Steam is Retrovirus, which came out about 6 years ago. And a distant second is Sublevel 0. Some of the newer ones aren't even close to being on there. Minor Wars, I think, was.
It could be also, though,
Minor
like.
Wars was second. That's right. Minor Wars was second. Sublevel 0 was third.
You do have to remember that it could be Retrovirus was maybe in a Humble Bundle, or it was on sale on Fanatical or Chrono or something. Like if it was on sale, of course, that's not the, like you said, not the highest grossing or anything. No. It's just the total number owned. Maybe they handed out a bunch of free codes on some promotion, so that'll skew those numbers.
Overload just shy of 14,000. Quite a low population. You guys, I mean, are there any games you're interested in that you'd want to know that number?
Witcher 3.
Probably find it. Oh, Witcher 3 is probably a good one. Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, 5.4 million. And actually is the 46th most played, most owned game. That has it. Keep in mind that has achievements.
Right.
If the game doesn't have achievements, it is not on this list.
Yep.
So I mean, yeah, it's a pretty big list.
Shower with Your Dad Simulator. I don't think it has achievements.
Shower with Your Dad Simulator 2015. Do you still shower with your dad? Owned by 401,000 people.
That's a lot of people.
Why?
Well,
how many people did Attention Grabber buy this for?
Well, it's 99 cents or $1.99 or something like that. So think about it. That's almost either $500,000 or $1 million in sales, not revenue, because the Steam takes their cut. But
oh my god,
I'm clearly in the wrong business.
Clearly, this is disturbing information. Actually,
TakeThatFo wants to know about Enter the Gungeon, Necrodancer.
Enter the Gungeon sitting at 1.14 million.
So only slightly less than 3 times the number of people who have Shower with Your Dad Simulator.
Crypto the Necrodancer 1.12 million, just behind Gungeon. They're on the same page, as a matter of fact.
But they're more expensive, so
yeah.
I think if you had to put in a reason why you buy a game, Shower with Your Dad Simulator would be, I bought it as a joke for my friend.
Probably indeed.
Or I heard about it on the Six Gaming podcast, and I just had to own it.
In fact, there's probably a couple people in chat that probably have every achievement in that game right now.
Is it Ron?
No, it's not.
No.
You're not in chat, are you?
Oh, I am.
Otherwise, you'd be paying attention to that. Anyway, moving on. We do have more news. This one coming from... This one coming from Fortnite. And, of course, you guys... Who doesn't play Fortnite here? I don't.
I've played a little bit.
But I follow it enough to know about the rocket launch. And there was a rocket launch. Everyone in the game kind of stopped what they were doing and watched this rocket launch. And it went up and it like shattered reality. And there's this big crack in the sky. And the crack has been growing over time. And apparently not everyone was watching this because there was a record set during this event. And this record is a gentleman who destroyed a structure that 48 other players were standing on and killed all 48 players and got credit for all 48 kills. He now holds the record for the most number of kills by a single player in one Fortnite match.
That's awesome. I would have been doing the same thing. Like, I can watch the video later. No, it's amazing.
Yeah, the video is kind of neat. You can just see the whole thing going up in smoke and just everyone falling, and people Fortnite, trying desperately to build and they can't, and they're all dead.
Fortnite is definitely one of those games that I've tried. I've played a few matches. It's kind of fun while I'm playing it, but it's just I'm not very good at it, and I don't care to take the time to practice to get really good at it. But the children's, all the kids, they love it. And I've got a friend who's got like they've got like 9-year-olds, and she says her kids like were perfect angels. She's like, if you guys are really good for 2 months, then we'll let you play Fortnite with your friends. She's like, I'll be fucked if these 2 kids like didn't do everything they were asked, and they still do because they know they'll take it away. But their parents let them download it. Now that's all they do. And like my wife was watching a video of his like, my kids never listen and always fight. And then there's a picture of these 4 kids, like a girl who's like 4 or 5 up to the older sibling, I guess, who's, I don't know, 12 or 13. And they're all doing Fortnite dances like in sync, like to like a minute-long routine of Fortnite dances.
Jeez.
And
silly.
Plenty of people who see this video don't realize that they're the dances from Fortnite. Like that's where it's coming from. It's crazy how big this game is right now.
Well, another place you could play Fortnite right now.
On your Switch.
How about at the Dallas Fort Worth Airport?
Not if you had a Sony account.
Oh, bad PlayStation memes. Yeah, Dallas Fort Worth decided to add a gaming lounge, and yeah, it's exactly what you think it is.
It's interesting because I mean, it's certainly like when you look at the price, it's like $25 all you can game or something. If you have a really long layover, that's not a horrible price to sit down and game for a few hours. Like if 3-4 hours, like
I would actually say $25 for the day would be pretty excessive.
But think about it this way, right? Like it depends on what you're comparing it to. If I sit down at the airport bar and drink 3 beers over
it's $20 for a day. Sorry,
$20 for a day, right? What's a beer at an airport? $8 or something for a large. And if I've got a 4, yeah, like so if I've got like a 4 or 5 hour layover,
how much does it cost to put your baggage into the baggage check?
I have no idea. I've never done that.
It's about $25.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're going to be there for more than 2-3 hours or something, and
it might be worth
it. Like it's not a bad price when you look at the other things that you're paying for in an airport that are the alternatives. But I mean, yeah, like $25, you could buy 2 months of Humble Bundle and get, weeks worth of gaming, but you're a captive audience and your other options are also expensive. So
that is true.
It's not that bad. It looks like they're pretty decent systems. We're not talking about $2.99 a minute Holiday Inn Super Nintendo controllers that are hooked up to the TV, if anybody remembers those.
Yep. And you mentioned PlayStation, of course.
Prometheus also.
PlayStation back in the news because of Fallout 76. Todd Howard coming out and saying, "Yeah, we're not doing crossplay in 76."
Guess why?
Because PlayStation 4 is a bunch of asshats.
Sony gonna Sony doesn't sound as good.
No, it doesn't. But it's yeah. Sony gonna sew?
They sew. Tic-tac-toe members. You remember those controllers? I remember.
Oh Jesus. That's terrible. But yeah. They're just saying that there was a configuration issue at Epic Games that allowed Fortnite players on Xbox and PS4 to briefly play together, but that got stomped out.
There's a configuration issue where the thing that everyone wanted was working, so they promptly made it not work again.
Yep, and it's just PlayStation. It's Sony. Just they want to do whatever. So,
and it's not like this is an exclusive game to Sony, right? Like, if there was some reason why shutting everyone out made it so like I would want to go buy a PlayStation.
Yep.
I guess sort of if my friends have PS4s and they're playing Fortnite on it, if I want to play with my friends, then I have to get a PS4. But that doesn't even make sense either because it's a free game. So I can just, I mean, I guess if you have a leveled account or something.
Yeah. And yeah, it's kind of dumb. Hopefully they'll come around at some point, but I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Not going to happen.
Yeah. So moving on, we have Twitch banning some people. There was a streamer named Mo that's got banned indefinitely for some hateful speech. And
the update apparently says it's a week or a month or something like that.
Is it? Yeah. And there was a second one as well, and I don't think he's on.
I don't think he's on that article.
One that also got banned pretty much for the same reason. They're using some pretty stupid, hateful speech that, you know, you don't do that. It's 2018.
And the one guy said something about like, well, I was just saying that I don't like it when people use that word. But it's like, that's like when the kid's like, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
Jesus Christ, get your finger off me.
I'm not touching you.
Fuck you. But yeah, 30-day ban with no warning, supposedly.
Does this make you uncomfortable, Ron?
It does. Can you stop? I'll turn your camera off. Don't make me turn this camera around. I'll do it. I will do it. Anyway.
I will turn this podcast and go back home.
Yep. And more stuff going on with Twitch. This one's kind of good if you have Amazon Prime. Of course, you get Twitch Prime. And now in the month of July, every day I think this is leading up until Prime Day.
It is.
They're releasing one or more games for free with Twitch Prime. And actually today is one I already own called Next Up Hero. Kind of good. I picked up Cube 2 the other day.
So the first day was Pillars of Eternity. And I think it was definitive edition. So it's like, we're not even talking about like whatever, a few indie games, like, okay, some of these are pretty bad. Like, and a couple of them are just kind of so-so, but it's like Pillars of Eternity. I just finished it a couple weeks ago. It is a really good, huge RPG, like 70 hours of play. And it's good. Yeah. Chef Battle Brigade, Tyranny, which is another from Obsidian's coming up later this month.
One from one of my friends, I believe, is coming out tomorrow. Ernog Unlimited from Neefless.
Yeah, there are some serious good games.
If you liked Knit, any of the Knit Underground, Knit Stories, any of that, that's the same developer.
Yeah, Hue, Deponia, Observer, Tacoma. Tacoma's a big one. Brutal Legend, Broken Age. Yeah, they're all good shit.
Yep, so definitely worth checking out. And moving on to the Switch, I posted this just simply because I found this amusing. Apparently, the Nintendo Switch Pro's D-pad sucks some serious ass. Like, I mean, it's awful. Like, you'll be going left and right, and it will be registering an up. And I actually experienced this at GDQ because I was playing in a Puyo Puyo Tetris tournament, and up hard drops the piece. And it was happening all the time, and I wasn't pressing the button. I'm like, okay, I can't use this. Give me just give me a normal Joy-Con. And apparently there's a hack that you can use to actually fix this. Of course, you probably avoid warranties because you're opening the controller, but at the same time, if you want to have a good D-pad on your Pro, then this is how you do it. So just something I noticed and put up there. And then too bad Veg isn't here, because Veg would be raging at this next story, because it's Phantom Lord. Phantom Lord back in the news. This time he is threatening to sue a Reddit moderator. What's with that? Seems to be like a theme this week. Let's just sue Reddit moderators. Sounds like a great idea. But yeah, Phantom Lord threatening to sue the moderators because they're allegedly saying that he's scamming people with a brand new skin site. And this time it's for something called VGO skins, which is basically the way I read it. This is kind of like virtual skins, which makes no sense to me.
It's like a skin it's almost like a cryptocurrency or something. It's like skin tokens. It's not even. It's messed up.
Real skins. I mean, it's just like silly. It's like virtual something. It's like totally meta. But yeah, apparently they started accusing him and his girlfriend of that, and now he's threatening to sue them. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. This guy's already proven to be a monumental asshat. He's been banned from Twitch. He's sued Twitch, and Twitch countersued him right back. And that happened last year. Was it last year in 2016?
I think it was last year.
2016. It was 2016.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. So he's just generally not someone that I would trust. Let's put it that way. So hopefully...
If you trust him for anything, you kind of deserve anything you get scammed on.
Yeah, if you know him, yeah. I mean, I know plenty of people who haven't heard of Phantom Lord before.
True.
Like, I didn't even know who it was until Veg told me about him. So there's that. But yeah, there's that. And finally, talking about Reddit a little bit more, but this one, basically what happened is that there's a developer, or was a developer, for Guild Wars 2 by the name of Jessica Price. And she was on her Twitter account basically railing on some people that were, I don't know, just not talking well about the story in Guild Wars 2.
So first she posted a 29 tweet thread talking about the challenges of writing player characters in MMO, right? So she was just like, here's some my thoughts about my job and why it's hard to do the things that I do. And so Streamer, the direct quote said, "Really interesting thread to read. However, allow me to disagree slightly," which I think is kind of fair. And then he said a 3-tweet explanation of how narrative design influences player expression in the sort of games that she designs. I have not looked at these specific threads. He said, "I don't believe the issue lies in MMORPG itself. I believe the issue lies in the constraints of the living story's narrative design." Like, he kind of criticized her, but like, it seems like it was not malicious.
It wasn't malicious by any extent.
It was a player disagreeing. And Ron, you and I have written plenty of stuff for characters, and we spent a lot of time on stuff. And the players are like, "This is fucking stupid." It's like, well, you didn't read any of the clues. You just tried to brute force the solution.
Yep.
Like,
oh God, I remember one particular thing in that just people just couldn't figure out.
Was it
just made it worse and worse and worse?
Trying to get into the hideout, the shit, what was it called? The like crime ring thing was a cluster.
That's what it was. That's
what it was. There was a clusterfuck in the crime ring. Someone found the controls too early and then pressed the right combination without finding the things they were supposed to. It was hell. Anyway, So Jessica Price, this woman who was with the Guild Wars, she said today, she tweeted as a response, or retweeted as a response, today in being a female game dev, allow me, a person who does not work with you, explain to you how to do your job. And then she basically came back and said, the next rando, yeah, and she said, then she got a little bit over the top. She said, the next rando, in my opinion, the next rando asked Hatley, who attempts to explain the concept of branching dialogue to me, as if, you know, having worked in game narrative for a fucking decade, I've never heard of it, is getting instant blocked. PSA, I'm not on the clock here. I'm not your emotional courtesan because I'm a dev. Don't expect me to pretend you like you here.
And then she got fired.
And then she got fired. And a lot of people, so people were on both sides of this. On one hand, like I said, the guy did not seem to be malicious, but I also in some ways see her point of view because, and we're kind of getting into roundtable territory here. If you want to just,
but we'll continue with, because there's more to this. There was another person by the name of Peter Fries, and he's a writer that's been with ArenaNet for more than 12 years, also got fired for defending her. Interesting. I'm not quite sure. I don't know if I found what he said. He said, here's a bit of insight that I legitimately hope he reflects on. She never asked for his feedback. These are our private social media accounts. Imagine you're an astronomer and you start sharing some things you've learned over the past few months since you began a research project observing Saturn, only to have your observation techniques explained to you by a layman. Jessica is great at her job and deserves to be treated with respect. And he got fired. So moving on, we'll be talking about this a bit more.
We'll circle around back to this.
Definitely going to be circling back around. I believe we ended up. Did we end up talking about the?
Yeah, we talked about the other Steam thing.
What?
We talked about the other Steam thing.
Yeah. So all that's left is what you're drinking.
I got nothing. I had a very large margarita with dinner. I made fajitas, and I'm still riding on that one.
There you go. I don't remember if we talked about the finals of the Overwatch League 2 weeks ago. Probably not, because I was
no. Well, I think we talked about. Well, I guess it was the finals, and we might have talked about before that. But we talked about Shanghai ending the season. 0-24 or whatever it was.
Yep. And then for the I keep forgetting what they call. I want to call them splits because I'm so used to I'm so used to
league
calling them splits, but they're called stages. And New York Excelsior once again made the finals, but they ended up losing. They got taken down in the finals after nearly dropping a game to who was it? I don't see who it is now. They nearly dropped their match to the Dallas Fuel, but then the Los Angeles Valiant came in and basically rolled them over 3-1. So no 3 splits for New York stages, whatever, for New York. But we are going to get into the grand finals coming up soon. In fact, the playoffs start this week. There's going to be playoffs this week and the following week, and then the grand finals will be starting Friday the 27th. So you're going to see Philadelphia, Boston, London, and the Los Angeles Gladiators this first week. So more action to look forward to. It's going to be pretty fun. And then in League of Legends, we got a lot of stuff going on with Rift Rivals. They're currently, I believe that they finished today, the knockout stage, and Fnatic defeated Echo Fox to basically take it home. So congrats to Fnatic. And I don't know if the Rift Rivals for the other region finished up, but there's been more stuff going on. So they'll get back to their summer split very shortly, and we'll see how that goes along. So that does it.
Good.
You know what it's time for, right?
Snicker Plus Questrum.
No. Boom! It's a playlist. What are you playing, Dan?
So I spent. My wife's making a smoothie apparently. So I don't remember. I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but I did finish Pillars of Eternity 1 with the DLC. It was like 70 hours. It was fantastic. I recommend you play it, and it'd be great for you if you picked it up for free on Twitch. I then played Doom and played that in about a week. And I then am on to Pillars of Eternity 2, which I am ignoring the main quest entirely and just sailing around the map. And my first ship I called the Light of Elysia. The second ship was the Fires of Deucalion. My third is a galleon. It's the Fury of Nereos. And when I buy the junk, it's just going to be called Hashan because it's a junk.
Because Hashan is junk. I get it. Totally.
No, it's probably I got called out by Aurora. So I'm probably going to call it the Good Ship Sparkle Tits, which will what I
called out even more.
No, because that's what I called her.
Okay.
not to the faces of any mortals.
Of course.
Just behind her back. So I've been enjoying that a lot. It is different. So the party size is 5 instead of 6 now, and I don't know if they did that because sometimes 6 trivialized things. There was definitely a tactical, like a party of 6, which is what you've had in Baldur's Gate and all those other games. You've always had a party of 6. You could basically have like a tank, an off tank, a melee, a caster.
Melee. Do we need to set off Twitch chat again with this?
A caster.
We've already done it once in the past 2 weeks.
A caster.
Melee.
A caster. A ranged and a support, right? So like your party of 6 was pretty like it didn't have to be exactly that, but you had a lot of options. Like you could bring people, you had a kind of like one flex point you could bring in and out. With 5, it's like, okay, well, I've got my main character, so that's one of them. You can't, so you really have 4. So you can have a tank or an off tank depending on what you are. Oh, fuck off, Perselka. And then you gotta have a caster of some kind, and you gotta have like some other melee of some kind, and then like there's somebody to use a bow or something. So there's your 5. Like you don't have the flexibility. So it's been a little bit interesting. I've kept this.
What?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Lay May.
Yes, Bay.
I'll lay May.
Jeez.
Anyways, I have got so I multi-classed and specialized. Like they've got a lot of options on how you can do your character. So I'm a cipher, which is like a mind bender kind of person, and a rogue. And my cipher is subclass to get like this special thing where you can dump all of his like mind focus into one big attack. And with a rogue, I get a bunch of like passive abilities that give me higher crits, give me crits when I'm hidden. I don't have to then I don't have to be hidden if the enemy is distracted, and then something that always makes enemies distracted if they're flanked. So I can basically walk up with another person, build up a little bit of thing, and then get like this huge crit by using the ability. So it's interesting. It does start to trivialize some things. Perselka said he just started the first game as a monk. I barely played with a monk in the first game, and I haven't played with a monk at all in the second game, but it seems pretty cool. Anyway, I've been enjoying it. I also randomly yesterday, my son wanted to play a game, but I didn't really feel like playing Mario, and I didn't feel like dealing with him not being really good at games. So I was like, you can watch me play a game. And I'm like, what game can I play that's like pretty chill? Oh, we'll play Stardew Valley.
There you
so
go.
Of course we played for just a little bit. He's like, oh, go pet that chicken, go pick that corn, whatever. So I kind of let him tell me what to do. Then after he went to bed, I was like, oh, I was having kind of fun, and played it till midnight and whatever. So it's one of those games where it's like, oh, just one more day. I'll just I'll turn in my crops, and then I'll do one more day. I'm just gonna plant more crops, and that's gonna be in the end.
One more turn.
One more turn. So I've been playing that, and I don't think I've played anything else much this week.
Well, that makes one of us.
Yeah, this girl Jenny 2.0 that I've been watching a lot on Twitch. She just finished a 75-day Dragon Age full clear, all the games, all the DLC, and she did like almost every single quest and everything. Before I started streaming more, I didn't really watch a lot of people, but man, I got invested, even though I'd already played the games. I started partway through 2, I think, and like I was watching most nights. I would just like tune in, and she had like between 10 and 20 viewers most of the time, but it definitely gave me ideas about like, if you're a subscriber, you can have like a custom sound. So you type a command and like it blares a sound or whatever. So mine was the Trogdor theme song. So every time she went up against a dragon, I'd do it.
Oh geez.
And so yeah, it's definitely I like that idea, and I hope that people are as entertained by me as I was by her. So I've been watching Tic Tac Faux some faux show.
Getting the pentathlon going on.
Yeah, I can't play any of those games. Like I literally have not beaten any of those games ever.
I've only beaten 3 out of those 5 games. I don't even own one of them. So.
Let's see: Dungeon, Nuclear Throne, Spelunky, Necrodancer. What's the last one? Isaac. Okay, I own all those games, and I still have never been able to complete a single. I think I might have beaten.
That's okay. You're not alone, because there was a pentathlon race at GDQ between Elad Difficult, Squega, and Rat Racing, and Elad won in like an hour and a half, because that's his thing. He invented the pentathlon.
Yeah.
Squega and Rat Racing couldn't beat Isaac, which was like, or was it not Isaac? Nuclear Throne, which was like the 3rd game. And the funniest part was like 3 hours into it, Squega's fighting the Nuclear Throne, and he kills it, but gets killed by its explosion. So he would have had to start all over, and he just decided, okay, that's enough. I give up. Moving on.
Necrodancer, I think I've beaten as Bard.
He's
the one that
you have to play Cadence.
What?
You have to play Cadence.
I have to play Cadence?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying. I realize that that's not much of an achievement, but I've gotten through the game as Bard,
which is good. That's the start.
More than nothing. Anyway, what are you playing, Ron?
Wow. Way too much Ultimate.
All the things.
Way too much Ultimate Chicken Horse at GDQ. Like that. Like that was all a couple people wanted to play. I don't know if you're familiar with this game. It's basically you have to go from start to finish, and based on the map, there's different obstacles and stuff, and you have to either make it easy to get there, or you make it hard to get there, and you get points if you're the first one there, if you're the only one there, if people died your trap, so on and so forth. But you don't get any points if no one finishes, and you don't get any points if everyone finishes it. So the idea is to kind of make it somewhat hard that a couple people are going to die, but not too hard that no one does it. So yeah, and then we also played Spelunky 4-player deathmatch because hell yeah, it was fun. I only played one game of that, and basically so I spawned in the game for the first time, and you're like in this little well, and you can either climb out of the well and get some goodies upstairs, or you can just fight downstairs. Well, the other 3 players decided they were just going to fight downstairs. Well, I get on the ladder, I go upstairs, and I start opening the boxes. And there's crap in the boxes. Like I got climbing gloves, I got I think it was like the web gun or something like that, which is just totally useless. Finally, I ended up getting a boomerang out of the 4th box. So they're still fighting downstairs, and I just kind of go downstairs, get in the corner, start chucking the boomerang. I keep chucking the boomerang, and I get 3 kills, and it was kind of fun. There was also a run where I got a Chris knife, which is a 1-shot kill, and I just kill everyone. And then I got 2 plasma guns and ended up winning the whole thing.
Nice.
Plasma guns are fun. So I'm trying to think. We also did Necrodancer there, including some co-op runs. We had a race. I think it was me and Squaggo were playing. I think it was against I think it was Elad and Rat Racing, and we were playing various types of co-op modes, including Cadence, and then we decided to play one as Dorian and Melody, the mom and dad race, and that was kind of fun.
As one does.
Yes. So we played a bunch of that. Of course, I got my 6 degrees on over there, including got to play Overload on LAN for the first time against fellow couchmate Kenny, who is not very good in the game, but he enjoyed it. He understood he was going to. He knew what he was up against, so he went in with that kind of mindset. He wasn't all that bad either. He picked it up pretty quick too. But it plays like a dream on LAN. It's going to be really awesome if I could ever play this game on LAN again. And then there's this game. I don't know if you guys heard it. It got played at GDQ. It's called Sublevel Zero.
Never heard of it.
You heard of that? Yeah, I played it for on Wednesday, the week before, for exactly 25 minutes and 25 seconds. But yeah, it was a lot of fun playing that there. I also got to play it in VR that week too, for the first time, and now
I meant to look. Do you know what the viewer count was when you were playing?
109K. It was a large number. It was nice. The funny thing was is that I wasn't even thinking that. Once you get up on stage, they put you in these headphones, and all of a sudden you're in your own world. You're talking to the tech guy. You're talking to you're not really talking to the donation reader because he's doing his old thing, but you can hear him. And then you're talking to the guys on the couch, and that's all you can hear, and the game. So I get into the game, and I had like after the 3rd level, I was a few seconds off of PB pace, and then it just all fell apart.
Wow, that was a shitty layout.
The 4th level, I almost died in. It took a little while to get to the end, but once I did, I go into the room, and the first thing I say is, "Okay, this reactor ends runs." And then the reactor decided to try to end this run, and I'm like, "No!" And I backed off. I was like, "I'm not pulling a Gungeon. Sorry, Gungeon. I'm not going to die in my run." So I just backed out, and I actually did enough damage to the reactor to kill it, but I had to basically gingerly work my way back to the portal. And then the 5th level happened, and oh my god, I timed that shit. It was like 8 minutes. It was awful. I pretty much effectively 100% of the floor. I checked every branch, and it was awful. And then the last floor tried to do the same thing. Fortunately, it wasn't that far off, but it still turned out all right. 25 minutes is well below estimate, right about in the middle of where you want to be. So it was a pretty good run.
Did you get if you look at your stream, did you get like any serious number of follows from?
I got like less. Yeah, it was less than 10, but it was a noticeable bump. So
nice.
But followers don't mean anything.
No, but I'm just curious if
I've been sitting on like 1,500 for years, for like 3 years now.
Yeah, but I mean, like with 107,000 people or whatever you said, like I would have expected more, just to be like, oh yeah, I'll follow this guy.
Yeah, it's whatever. It did get listed. I forget what the name of the site was, but that run did get listed as their 10th favorite run of the marathon, which was pretty
nice
cool, because I had some pretty kick-ass commentary. Squaghead and Kenny they knocked it out of the park. They had good chemistry. They took the time to learn the game fast. They had not played the game. And I'm not sure Squagga's even opened the game yet.
The way they were talking, I assumed that they knew what was going on.
That's the thing, is that they knew what was going on. They took the time to learn, especially Kenny. He had a whole notebook full of notes that he was going over the night before. So it was really cool. Covert Muffin, the donation reader, he was amazing. He came in the day before and watched me do a little bit of a run, and then we talked about things like getting people's donations read and stuff like that. And then of course
they skipped veg.
Well, I mean, did you read his donations?
No, I didn't.
then if you did, you'd understand why they skipped veg.
Okay.
But they also skipped show and Coles and Chili Bus as well, which kind of sucked. But
they got 2 of mine.
They got 2 of yours, and the second one was just set off Twitch chat.
I didn't even read it at the time. I should go back and look.
Yeah, Twitch chat went nuts over Melee. So,
what did they agree with me, or it was half and half?
It was a battle. It was a battle royal. It was great.
Nice. I'll have to go back and look at that.
It was funny as hell. They're still going even after the run was done. It was great. So, yeah, and then of course, Games Done Quick wouldn't be complete without board games. There were a whole bunch of board games being played there. Probably the one that got played the most was a word game called Codenames, which is a kind of a really fun game. That's the kind of game I'd get my mom. That's pretty neat. But then we played a whole bunch of like space type games. Like there was a superhero game that plays out like a comic. I saw a game that looked like something out of FTL. There was a bamboo growing game where you have to send a farmer around, and the panda's going to go around and eating all the stuff, and you had to do certain things throughout the game. A lot of dice games being played. Someone brought like about 50 different types of Rubik's Cube like puzzles. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And then, of course, there were people there that could actually solve them. It was just insane. So a lot of stuff going on. As for what I've been playing at home, of course, more Crypt of the Necrodancer, just simply because I got the new keyboard, wanted to try it out. Overload, because Overload, it's awesome. Played a bit of that. And then Next Up Hero got its full release while I was at GDQ, and I've been playing the heck out of that. If you have Twitch Prime, go get yourself a copy of Next Up Hero right now. That's all I got to say.
What was the donation at around when you were playing? Do you remember?
580 something. It went up 2,700 during the.
I'm trying to find it by that in the thing.
Yeah, it's about 580K.
All right, so I'll check it out later.
So anyway, that's going to do it for the playlist, and we have one more part of the show. This is the infamous third half of the show. You think there's not 3 halves? Well, you're wrong, because we're in that half now. This is Shosan's favorite part of the show. It's the roundtable, and of course, this is where we ask questions, expect answers. If we don't get them, we kind of get sad. Shosan gets angry.
Ron will have a sad.
I will have a sad. But this week, we're definitely going to be talking about the whole Guild Wars thing. And I actually had kind of a bit of a question about this, because I'm not sure how I feel about this whole thing. So here's what my question for the roundtable this week is going to be: is this whole situation harassment of the game developer, or did she go too far? And then what about the guy that defended her?
So like I was starting to say, oh, here it is. Like I was starting to say earlier, the guy who criticized her was pretty, like I said, not malicious.
Civil.
He was pretty civil about it.
Civil is a good word.
However, I can see from her point of view, and she said also in the article things about like, you know, this isn't the first time, this happens all the time, and she finally just snapped about it. And I can see that too. Like this whole idea of like mansplaining, I don't know if it was about a man versus a woman. It might have been part of that, but I also think a lot of it is just the idea of and we've talked about this too, gamers feel entitled. The average person feels entitled about a lot of things. Like if you meet Ian McCullen on the street, you're gonna be like, yo, what up, Gandalf? Take a picture with me. The dude just wants to fucking eat his hot dog or whatever he's doing, right? Like if you're famous or work in a field that other people are interested in or whatever, you don't owe anyone anything. Like, and as a fan, you need to stop expecting that these people owe you something. The only thing they owe you is that they are paid to create a product, and then you consume that product. And so that, you know, by way of you making those purchases, if it's a thing like Guild Wars where you make the purchase and then it's expected that there's further content, they owe you that content in as much as it's their job. But they don't owe you discussion. And well, the other part I'm a little iffy on is like, I feel like if you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook and you post something, by virtue of you putting that out there publicly, you're inviting comment. Like, I've gotten in conversations, again, if we're talking about like gender stuff, like I've gotten in conversations where it's like, well, your opinion doesn't matter because you're a man and you haven't ever experienced this or whatever. I'm like, well, then don't fucking post it on Facebook or post it in a women only group. Like, I understand the sentiment that sometimes there's a conversation that happens that's not really for you, and that's okay. There are conversations. If somebody that hates video games turned into this podcast, they're like, your podcast sucks. It's about all video games. I want to hear about football. I'm like, well, this isn't for you. I'm sorry that you came to this thing, but it's public. So I can't tell those people fuck off and don't come. I mean, I can, but
if you can, you have to deal with
right. And that's exactly it. It's like, if you tell them to go away, and especially if we were sponsored by somebody who also owns a football team or some shit like that, then you pay the consequences. So there's a level of civility, but at the same time, people don't owe you anything as an average private citizen. And sometimes your opinion doesn't mean shit because you don't know what you're talking about, even though you think you do. And this whole thing with Reddit, it really is like, Reddit's this hive mind. And I use Reddit all the time, but I do see like somebody posts an opinion, everyone kind of jumps on it, and cool stuff happens from it sometimes. Like, people have gotten help that need it. Schools have been built in Africa because someone said, hey guys, let's build a school in Africa. And I was like, all right, cool, we'll donate money. But like, people have been wrongly accused of crimes, and like, shit happens. That the internet's a scary place, and that's one of the places that sometimes scary shit happens.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and this was kind of silly to me, just simply because first of all, this happened on July 4th. It's a holiday here in the US, and she's taken the time to actually do something on here. But I'm with you. I think she went way too far. Even the person that she was responding to, Deroir, Deroir, they actually were taken aback by her response and just said, I just want to be out of this conversation now. There was clearly no anti-feminist tone to what he was doing. And it's really difficult to have any type of sympathy for the developer here. Now, as far as her actually getting fired over this, that's internal to her company. That's not something that we can really judge. In fact, we probably don't know all the details behind what led up to that. And why did somebody that came out? You heard what I read from about the other guy.
Yeah,
he was totally civil as well, and he got fired. So there's got to be something more going on behind the scenes than just
like
this.
One of the quotes. I'm
not going to assume that we know everything, but as far as, do I feel awful that she got fired? Not really. No, not really.
I think people
would I have wanted her to be fired? No.
No, that's I think where we are, and just as gamers and as a society, like, if you say something that's like casual racism or whatever, like anything like that used to be like, well, people will laugh it off or whatever. If you offend more than just a couple people, and it's not a matter of, I'm not going to say people are too sensitive. Sometimes people are, but it's not my place to say, if somebody's offended, that's kind of their problem. But if the thing that was said is actually offensive and just other people don't happen to be offended by it, then it's still a problem that the person said something. So like if you're like, oh, blah, 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 like some kind of casual racism or whatever, right? Like I'm not going to state examples because we'll get banned on Twitch. But if you say that kind of thing and the people that you hang out with like don't care, and then there's a new guy in the group and he's like, dude, don't say shit like that. Then you need to stop saying those things, or not say it around that guy, or that guy maybe that guy needs to leave the group, but he shouldn't have to. Like, you should be a civil person who doesn't say casually racist shit or actually fully racist shit or whatever it is. Now, if somebody makes a joke about like, I don't even know, so-and-so's sister's ugly or something, right? Like, and then the guy doesn't care. And then someone else like, I'm offended that you called the sister ugly. That's not right. That's misogynistic or whatever. Like, okay, at that point, the dude who's offended needs to just chill the fuck out, right? Like there's a level at which you cross, in my opinion, where you go from someone's opinion, they got their feelings hurt, right? I don't know if you ever heard that, like, I'm sorry you got your feelings hurt. That's not really an apology. You're putting it on the other person. Like, there's a point where you go from that person got offended unreasonably to, yeah, the thing that you said just because it was okay to say before or around those people previously, they have a point that you shouldn't say it. So that's kind of like this, right? Like, the guy probably, the things that he said, I don't think crossed that boundary. And I think that she crossed a boundary by acting that way. But I don't blame her, because she's so often had to deal with things like this that were probably not as civil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. But yeah, it's kind of a really silly thing. I mean, and I think what might be even a different type of story here is the fact that there's a lot of people that are really railing on these two developers.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's just some really awful things being said that,
and that's crossing that line too, for sure.
And
Perselka,
I don't know how people will sleep at night doing this shit. This is just stupid.
I don't either. It's like the South Park about trolling, the whole thing. Randy writing the troll. He's like, I do it because it's funny, Sharon. Like, that mentality that it's just funny. It's hilarious. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, she killed herself. That's hilarious. Like, people really think that way, and they don't get sobered up when something bad happens because of it. I do want to point out, Perselka said that most companies have specific policy for social media use in regard to company information. And TikTok said that last place he worked said they would and did fire people who posted anything on social media that they didn't like.
Sure, some people some companies have this kind
right, and I'm sure they do. Like, it's a very standard thing, and the language is very vague. The one that I had basically said, if you mention the company or you say anything that could be construed as having anything to do with the company, you could get fired for it. So clearly, and it said public or private. So they're like, these are our public social media platforms. No, they're not. Like, if you work for Blizzard and on your private Twitter, you're like, haha, like, StarCraft 2 actually sucks. Like, you can get fired for that, even though it's your own personal opinion because you work for the World of Warcraft division or whatever. Tough shit. You spoke badly about your company and you're gone.
Yep. So, yeah, we'll see. It's just a big story, just simply because of, one, how these people are being treated after being fired. They said something on their social media. They may or may not regret it. I'm sure Peter has a right to be mad because, like I said, he was civil about it. But and there's a lot of people saying that maybe this means that Twitter can, or not Twitter, but maybe Twitter and Reddit can get people fired if you step out of line. A lot of people are saying that's bullshit. So
And it's happened. But I mean, at the same time, there have been a couple cases in the last week where people have gotten fired for calling the police on people who didn't need the police called on them because companies are sick of their employees making them look shitty.
Yep.
So that just becomes the question of, did these two people make the company look shitty? And I think we agree that they really did not. She bordered on it. He definitely did not.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think ArenaNet might not be on my short list of places to want to go work. Just you know, if they're gonna be,
yep.
If they're gonna be petty about that kind of stuff, you know, what else are they going to be like that about?
Cole says a Ride employee got fired for calling Tyler One a cokehead on public Discord on a public account.
Well,
I don't know who Tyler One is, but he's probably a cokehead.
He's a popular League of Legends player.
Is he a cokehead, Coles?
That's a good question. Is he a cokehead?
Because it's not slander if it's real.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about all kinds of things, but I mean, ultimately, it boils down to what the interaction between Jessica and Peter and their employer are. Are they strict? Do they have an axe to grind? Stuff like that. I mean, this could, you know, we have no idea. That's why I'm saying we don't know the story.
Yep. And Priscilla said it might be a right to work state.
It does seem like an overreaction to me.
Yep. But again, if it's a right to work state, like Priscilla said, like, you have no protection. They can just be like, yeah, you don't work here anymore. Why? Because you don't work here anymore. Bye.
Yeah. It absolutely can happen. But I mean, if a person that's been working there for 12 years, something led up to that.
Yep.
Something had to leave out. You don't just for something like that. That's just silly. I mean, I feel more for Peter than I do Jessica. Jessica kind of pushed it.
Yeah, and it could be as much as like the CEO started getting death threats or some crazy shit like that.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, that could be it too. And he's just like, okay, let's end this, get rid of him.
Yep.
Just remove the problem. Like I said, there's a number of reasons they could have gotten fired, stemming from this situation. We don't know the whole story. We probably never will.
Yep.
So, but as far as, you know, did she cross the line? She definitely crossed the line. And Peter chose his allies. And they have to live with their decisions now. And so do the people that fired him.
Yep.
Probably more importantly there. So that's going to do it for this week, guys. Unless you got anything else, Dan.
Nope.
So we're going to go ahead and call it quits. This is probably the shortest episode we've had in a long time.
Just about an hour.
Yep. So, Dan, say goodnight. What do you want to leave everyone?
I was Priscilla said in my old job, he had to escort people off the property in situations where there was no reason for the firing. Oh, yeah. Oh. That's all shitty. Sorry, I had to deal with that. Yeah. So, is Witcher 3 worth playing? Eli 5. Yes. Is that good enough, Coles? The short version is it's probably in my top 3 games ever, possibly the top one. And it's good graphics, good gameplay, lots of good fun story decisions, different endings, etc., etc. The DLC is probably as good or better than the main game, and you should play it. Right. If for nothing else, because you can fuck your love interest on a giant stuffed unicorn.
There you go. I think we're going to leave you with that there. And the one thing I wanted to add with Priscilla, I actually been in a position where I got escorted out of my job because the company got bought out and they laid off half the IT staff. But the funny thing was 3 days later, they let me come back in. They let me do whatever I wanted to on the computer and, you know, basically wrap things up. And it was just kind of funny that I couldn't do it the day of. I had to come back a few days later.
They had to back everything up, probably.
Yeah. Really weird, but that happened. Anyway, yeah, that's going to do it. So until next week, guys, thank you for watching. Check us out over at the website 6.gg. You can get involved with our Discord community over there. Until next week, guys. Dan, take it away.
See bye. Subscribe to me on Twitch.
On Twitch.